Greetings, friends. In this short little video, we want to demonstrate how to compute an effect size. In front of you have some raw data that we're going to be working with, and at the very top you can see the formula that we will be using in order to be able to compute an effect size. In this section in Moodle, you will also see an article by Marzano in the Marzano reference material about what an effect size is. And this is a good article to read. It's very short. It'll give you a refresher on what effect size is and why it's important. Also give you a little extended definition or demonstration of how to compute an effect size. But then also at the bottom, you can compute, or you can then translate effect size into a number that maybe is more easy to understand, or easier to understand, which is percentile gain. We have a better idea of percentile gain and loss, number based on the values between 1 and 100. And we all know where percentile ranks fall, and we know that if you are in a certain percentile rank, what that means relative to a supposed group of about 100 people. So you can go ahead and use this chart to be able to convert an effect size into a percentile gain that would occur because of a particular kind of intervention. For this video, though, what we want to concentrate in on is actually how you compute an effect size. So I went ahead and I ran the effect size for two groups, a group 1 and a group 2, and here are the scores from this group and the scores from this group, and you can see just eyeballing, looking at these numbers, that the differences between these two scores are rather significant. I went ahead and ran all of these in advance of this demonstration, and then I'm going to go back and show you how I arrived at those numbers. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and just erase those, and we'll start from scratch. So the formula is the mean of the second group, and if you are doing a pre and post test, that's why you would put this group first, because this is the group where you expect to see the differences show up. The mean from the second group minus the mean from the first group, that's what that subscript 1 and 2 stands for, and then the standard deviation of both groups put together. Now, what I did was I actually formatted these cells in advance, and a number of ways of doing that. If you're a PC person, you would just right-click and you would format the cells in advance. You don't have to do this, but it does make it a little bit easier in order to be able to see, to work with those numbers. And you would just click this box right here, and you want your answers to come in to be displayed in 2 decimal places. Again, you don't have to do that, just makes it a little bit easier. And if you worked with Excel before, you understand how this process works. You click on the cell where you want the answer to appear, and then you type in a formula. And for Excel, what you do first is you hit the equal sign. And what the equal sign does is tells Excel we're going to do some math. If you don't hit the equal sign, then whatever you type in will appear in the cell. So hitting the equal sign will give you the result of a formula. And what we want is we want the average. So you would type in the word average. And what Excel will do is anticipate what you are going to type. And if you want to just type a few letters and then click on a word, you can do that, or type the whole word in yourself. And then we have to tell Excel what numbers we want it to average. So once you type in the command that you want it to perform, then you hit the open parentheses, and then you click and drag over the range of scores you want it to average. Now, you don't have to do that. You could actually type in these cells B4 ... means 2, B17, or you can just click and drag. So B4 to B17, close parentheses, and that gives you the average of that group of numbers. Do the same thing over here, average. open parentheses, click and drag or type, close parentheses. So average C4 to C17, that's the average of those scores. Now here I copied and pasted from this group here, 45, 43, 45, you can see those numbers here. And then the second group, 67, 65, 56, well, I copied and pasted those right below it. So here's the group of all scores together. And you do the same thing here. Wherever you want the answer to appear, you click on that cell, equals. Now, what we want to do is we want to tell it to do standard deviation. So you would do ST, and you can see that Excel gives you this particular abbreviation for standard deviation, STDEV. That's the one we want. Open parentheses. Click and drag over the range. Right there. And then close parentheses. So we want the standard deviation from E4 to E31, hit return. So I'm just going to move this number up here for convenience sake. And these are all the numbers we need to compute the effect size. The mean of these two groups and the standard deviation of both groups combined. To do effect size, we do the same thing as the other cells where we wanted a formula. Hit the equal sign, and we're going to subtract before we divide. So remember your order of operations. If we don't section off the subtraction, then it will perform division first. So we don't want the cell to do that, so we actually put the two cells we want to subtract in first, and then we divide the difference between those two cells. Now remember, we wanted the median score of the second group first, so we can either type it indirectly, 72 minus 39.57, close parentheses, divided by 18.73, which is the standard deviation. Hit the return, and we get an effect size of 1.73. Now we also can, if you know Excel, we can just click on the cells that we want to reference in the formula. Equals, open parentheses, this cell minus this cell, C18 minus B18, close parentheses, divided by this cell. You get the same answer that way. So the effect size, which is pretty large between these two groups, and we would expect that given the scores, is 1.73. Now we would go back to our Marzano chart, and we can see with that large of an effect size, well, the percentile gain would be quite significant. 1.73, a 46 percentile gain. So that gives you the basics on how to compute an effect size. It's pretty straightforward, and hope this video will help you to be able to compute that number.